for 10 years, and I'm here. I'm free now.
That's Amanda Berry. Robert Penfold, thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, Keith, what an extraordinary story, isn't it? Not one, but 3 women held in there for 10 years. Unbelievable. It's amazing to think that they couldn't have broken out before now.
The 5AA Breakfast Show.
Weekday mornings from 6
On 1395.
Adelaide's 5AA.
Interactive radio. Text 1999 1395. Peter Godfrey.
18 minutes past 5. Let's catch up with Selwyn Manning in New Zealand now. Selwyn, good morning.
Good morning, Peter.
How's things across the ditch? Looking, well, we'll get onto that, actually. We'll get onto that shortly, won't we?
We'll get onto our weather forecast pretty soon.
Might be a sensitive topic. We'll leave that alone for the moment. But we'll get on to stormier seas politically. Now, you've spoken about the GCSB, your spy agency, on a number of things. The first reading of a bill, basically, expand their operations.
Yeah, their powers. Absolutely everything. It's the national-led government over here in New Zealand. Over this week, it indicated that it was going to drive through Parliament under urgency the first stages of a bill, or the legislation that's going to become law that will make the New Zealand's GCSB spy agency what it's been doing illegally for 10 years, it'll make it legal. So basically, just to wrap that part up, the bill will make it legal for the GCSB to use its full electronic arsenal to spy on New Zealanders. And it's been found to have been doing this illegally since 2003.
Okay.
Now, what the government's response to this is, one, acknowledging that it's been operating illegally against the law, and then putting Kiwis under surveillance, and those who have permanent residency status have been spied on as well. Now, we're not talking all Kiwis, of course. What they've admitted to is 85 illegal surveillance operations over that 10-year period. Now, some people say, well, that's a small number, but the concern here is that Kiwis have always been told that this GCSB outfit is only there to trawl international communications, other countries, etc., then feed it into that Five Eyes network, which is the United States, Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And that Five Eyes network, if you like, is all linked to that, that spooky kind of thing called Echelon. Now, New Zealand has 2 bases that feed into that, one in Waihopai in the South Island, another one in the North Island, the lower part of the North Island. Kiwis it's always been controversial, but they kind of thought, okay, well, that's there to make sure, that one, like protecting our territorial waters here in New Zealand. Don't know what we'd do about it if someone was doing something dodgy in there, Peter, but, it's supposed to keep things up there. And also in monitoring communications and feeding in on security and defence issues. We find that it's been doing a lot more than that. It's been helping the police to put people under surveillance. It's been helping the SIS, that's the Security Intelligence Service, monitor New Zealanders as well, that it has under its spotlight. So the government's response to all of that illegal activity by way of the GCSB is to say, oh, okay, well, we'll make it legal. But what it's doing also is it's making its power far more invasive than it ever has been, and so there's a lot of steam and a lot of fired up rhetoric coming out from the politicians, but also a concern that seems to be seeping into some sectors of New Zealand society too.
Yeah, could well understand that. So this is being pushed by nationals, by the national government. So what are other the Labor opposition and others? Is it any support within those, or opposition from those, or what's happening there?
Yeah, staunch opposition from the Labor and the Green Party, and also the Mana Party, which has got a big base within Māoridom outside of Parliament, but an MP of 1. Now, the Labor and the Greens significantly have said that this whole saga, this whole scandal, which the Prime Minister tries to convince everyone he knew nothing about at all for months last year, until he was supposedly told by the very agency that he's in charge of that this has been going on. Now, what they're saying is that there needs to be a complete independent inquiry into not just the GCSB, but all the spy networks and the police, because they're all involved in this. They're all looking the other way knowingly, putting under surveillance, getting the GCSB to assist them with surveillance, knowing that it was illegal. And these are the very institutions that are supposed to be upholding the law in this country. So the opposition parties are absolutely, steamed up about this. And there seems to be a sympathy amongst the public, if the polls are anything to go by, to damage the Prime Minister's reputation significantly. You've heard from me many times that he's a very popular Prime Minister, this John Key guy. But his popularity has dipped where after the last election it was kind of commonplace to see well over the 50% support for the guy. Now it's down in most of the polls around 37%. So he's on the slide, and this would be, arguably one of the main contributors to that. So this bill, this law we're talking, this bill that's going through the House went through last night, and it got through there with the skin of its teeth. The New Zealand First Party is positioning to potentially support the bill, and it's trying to work with the Nationals to have more oversight of the whole apparatus, to work on those perimeters where it would ensure that Kiwis who did not require to be put under the spotlight were protected in some way, and that there was recourse for them, and also an open kind of area where, well, not open to the public, but a more transparent oversight structure to it to ensure that illegal activities cannot happen again. So New Zealand First is looking to find a way to get in on this debate and support it on principles of national interest and security and defence interests. So it's a kind of a complex one in the House, but the government got through with its support parties, the ACT Party, a vote of one, and the United Future Party, which is like another one MP in the House, and it just snuck through.
Yeah, well, it's 61 to 59, so pretty close, yeah.
And on the back of that, on urgency, immediately after, the government put through another bill under urgency too, called the Telecommunications Interception Bill, which is all part and parcel of what they were doing under this GCSB. Now, that bill is very strange. It makes all the telecommunication companies in New Zealand subservient to the GCSB, the spy agency. Even requiring those telcos to seek approval from the GCSB if they're going to be rolling out any new electronic products in New Zealand. So this national government here, it's absolutely screwing down the hatches. And some people are saying, forget about 1984 and Orwell's kind of thing. This is 2013 National Party John Key style.
John Key style. So when they say approval for new electronic products that they would roll out, so what sort of things are they suggesting there that they would want seek approval for?
Right down to the smartphones. There's been concerns over here about the Chinese company Huawei, which I think has had similar concerns by your government and also the United States, and I think banned, maybe.
I'm not sure what the current thing is, but anyway, yes, there was something that was involved with our NBN.
So it's that kind of thing where the government's putting into law where if new products are coming into the New Zealand market, et cetera, new networks, any kind of new telecommunications, electronic gear in the future that we don't even know what's been invented yet, that they would have to get the GCSB to test it.
So the spy agency would have to approve it before it...
And to also put a pipe in there, which is like an open conduit, if you like, where the GCSB would be able to, if it wished to, sit there and listen and trawl and collect data on you if you're using it.
And that bill got through too in its first reading, did it?
It got through its first reading, and that bill was actually supported by New Zealand First. So that one went through with quite a large proportion of support, with Labour and the Greens and Mana against it.
All right, to be continued, I'm sure.
Yeah, so people are coming over to New Zealand. In a couple of months, these laws will be these bills will be made into law, and because they're under urgency, and people coming over to New Zealand, they can expect to feel that vibe. Okay,
all right. Thank you for that warning. Yeah. Speaking of the vibe of the weather, you've some fairly heavy rain or heavy rain warnings issued for around where you are, around Auckland.
Yeah, the rain warnings came in last night. I mean, we've had a week of heavy rain and storms. It's just been absolutely pounding the north part of the North Island and also the Auckland region. Now, yesterday there was more heavy rain warnings came through, and certainly this morning it's delivered on those warnings. The sky has been dark grey. Up in Northland, for example, this morning, more than 100 lightning strikes have hit that north part of the North Island this morning alone. The Met Service is saying that in the Northland area, the downpours we can expect between 20 and 40 millimetres per hour of rain to be hitting the area. 20
and 40 per hour?
Yes. And they believe a total over the next day will be up to 100 millimetres of rain. And in some areas they're saying potentially where it really kind of pounds, up to 140 millimetres of rain. So Auckland, it's not getting those degrees. What they're saying in Auckland, that we can expect up to 25 millimetres per hour at its peak. And so there's concerns about flooding where there's already culverts and ditches, things clogged with leaves that are falling through the autumn period, and that could cause more flooding in the Auckland area as well.
Okay, and issues of cliff faces as well, I saw, possibly, dangerous cliff faces?
Yeah, well, that's something that might be interesting for you guys too, from the point of view of it being a precaution. What Met Service is saying here, because we've just come out of a long, extended period of drought in the Northland area and Auckland area, that the ground has quite deep cracks around cliff faces and things like that. And they're saying with all of this heavy rain, it becomes absolutely waterlogged. So, you can see the logic in it, that it becomes unstable. And they're telling people, be careful when you're around the cliff faces and steep parts of hills and things, because the ground could give way.
I guess you could maybe look at it in a strange way. Well, with all the spying of GCSB, at least they'll keep an eye on you if you are in an area where the cliff's a bit unstable. So at least they'll know that you're there.
There's a silver lining to these grey, dark clouds I can see outside the window, Peter.
Yes, indeed. Well,
our big brother government will help us.
Indeed. If only you could send some of that rain our way too, because we're certainly short of it here. And as I said to you before, we had our hottest May day on record yesterday. So
that was
31 degrees. 31 degrees.
That's so unusual, isn't it? Over here, to do a comparison, Auckland's going to reach a high, apparently, of 18 degrees Celsius. So there's a huge difference, isn't it?
Which is about what our average should be, or very close to it. Rug up and stay dry and stay away from those cliffs, Selwyn, and we'll catch you again next week.
Okay, Peter.
All the best. Bye-bye. So we're Manning in New Zealand. Head to livenews.co.nz for more. It's 5:30.
Hurry, 2013 Mitsubishi Lancers 16,990 drive away, only from Agostino Mitsubishi.
5:30 on 5AA, partly cloudy, 29 today. I'm Matthew Pantelis with Adelaide's comprehensive news. A man's died after being stabbed in an incident at Loxton yesterday. He was flown to the Royal Adelaide Hospital in a critical condition, but later died. A 26-year-old woman and 51-year-old man were arrested and charged with attempted murder. The charges now expected to be upgraded. They'll front court today. 2 of the 3 women kidnapped and held captive for over a decade have arrived home. More from BBC reporter Johnny Diamond. He's at the house of Amanda Berry.
Amanda Berry arrived at her sister's house in a police motorcade, the front of the building festooned with balloons, soft toys, yellow ribbons and a huge banner declaring, "Welcome home, Amanda." She's been free for just 36 hours, free from a house where the Cleveland police chief has said that 3 young women were kept bound. Ropes and chains, he said, were found at the property. Formal charges are expected to be filed against 3 men later on Wednesday. A source told the BBC that there were multiple pregnancies amongst the women and many miscarriages. A child was born to Amanda Berry, a girl called Jocelyn, who is now 6 years old.
Sydney police have been left appalled after what's believed to be bleach was thrown at a mother and 2 young children from a car. The woman was pushing a baby in a pram on Conrad Road and was holding the hand of her 4-year-old daughter, who was splashed in the face with the chemical. She's been taken to the Children's Hospital for treatment. A special vigil will be held today to honour victims of domestic violence. It follows the death of a woman at Aldinga Beach last week, which police allege was a domestic incident. Megan Hughes from the Southern Domestic Violence Service says the vigil starts at 9:30 at the Aldinga Beach Esplanade.
We'll gather together, then we'll have a minute's silence in recognition of the life that has been lost, and then we'll walk to outside Lana's home and leave flowers.
An Italian court has rejected an appeal by former Italian Prime Minister Sergio Berlusconi over conviction for tax fraud. Berlusconi's been sentenced to 4 years jail and hit with a temporary ban from public office, but he can still appeal the conviction in